So we're moving to the tech panel session. Do we have a tech sis and tech bro here? Can you give me a wave? Aspiring tech bros, aspiring tech sis, can you give me a wave? Okay. In no specific order, I'll be calling our panelists, and please, I need your energy. We're not old people, we're young. So please, I need your energy. Clap for them as they come on stage. We'll have Korede Adebayo, the Senior Product Manager at System Specs. Korede is my mentor, by the way. We have Olawale Odunlami, who is the head of Recruitment Africa at Tech Experts. Please give him a round of applause. Are we tired? Welcome. The last but not the least, we have Emmanuel Samuel, who is the technical recruiter at Flutterwave. If you want to work at Flutterwave, give him a round of applause. Okay. Okay, while we wait for him to come, we'll just kickstart. But before then, if you have your questions, I would really appreciate if you can write them down. If you have a question, please give a round of applause for him. So if you have a burning question that you've been wanting to ask a tech professional out there that you've not been able to ask, please kindly write your question. We'll take them. If you would also like to ask your question individually, you can give a wave. We'll call you to ask your questions. And I'll be moderating this session. Good afternoon once again.
Good afternoon.
And it's an honor to have you here, and we're so excited. So we have some questions curated for our tech panelists, and I would go ahead to read out this question. So our first question here was from a person who said, there's a wave about tech being the new oil. If you're not in tech, you're not making the money. But do you think this is a myth that you want to debunk or talk about? Korede, would you like to go first?
Okay. Wow. Tech is the new oil. You know, the very funny bit is I studied marine engineering from a petroleum university. So, and I remember getting into school 100 level. You have a lot of excited young people that you've been told that you are the 1% of the 1% that will build the Nigerian oil and gas industry. And then they tell you another thing, that you would be crazy rich after you leave here. There was a guy that all through 100 level was always calling himself, guy, I'm going to be the CEO of Chevron. I don't know what he does now, but I'm sure it's not oil and gas, trust me. So, yeah, so tech being the new oil. From that attachment, I would say no. And I would say that the whole concept about an industry being the center of everything that there is and everything that can be is extremely dangerous. The oil and gas industry has done good for the country, but has done more bad, more harm for us, to be very honest. It's kept wealth in the hands of some people. And I'll be very honest to you that there are a lot of us that don't get the benefits of coming from an oil and gas country till date. If we are taking that same mentality to go to technology, we are up for failure. Because when we speak about oil money, you mean a money that you have so much, it's like, you call it arm robber salary. You do small work, you have big money, you spend in a way that you're not wise enough, you're not accountable to how much you're spending. So yeah, I think the mindset is terrible, it's wrong. Tech is not the new oil. Tech will never be the new oil. There are tons of industries that add value to people's life. The clothes I'm wearing is not made by technologists. Wasn't coded. It was a tailor that sold it, right? Yeah, someone made the clothes. Unfortunately, the person didn't make it here. You get all these things, $1 billion worth industry, that even if we can get a sneak peek of, get some value of that, would transform and revolutionize our economy. So yeah, tech is not the new oil. I'm sorry to disappoint you guys. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Korede. Mr. Manuel.
Good day, everyone. Good afternoon. First of all, a big thank you to those who put this together, and thanks to everyone seated here this afternoon as well for being here. I would like to clarify. Number one, you mentioned that tech. I want to clarify the question. Tech is the new oil. Must everyone be in tech? Right? That's the question. So, um, whether tech is the new oil or not, I'm not very sure, right? But I must actually sincerely say that there is immense opportunity in tech, or let me say there are immense opportunities in tech, to be honest, right? The tech industry is a $1 trillion industry, if not more than that, if there is anything to quantify it, because we have tech companies that are already above the $1 trillion mark, right? So number one, there are immense opportunities in tech. Whether it's the new oil or not, I'm not very sure. Must everyone be in tech? No, of course not. Of course not. Everyone must not be in anything, right? We are different. Our purposes are different, right? Our interests are different. So everyone must not be in tech, but everyone should be able to do their work tech enabled. We're in a world that is fast paced and has a whole lot of technology enhancement in whatever it is we are doing. In fact, the most recent child of tech, which is called AI, although it's not something new, but at least is what is buzzing right now, is not exclusive to some people or to some industries. You should be able to use AI in what you do. And when you think about AI, don't think of AI as, oh, a machine that is coming to take my job. AI is just artificial intelligence. You being assisted in doing your day-to-day by some automated algorithms. So you can have AIs prepare presentations for you, for instance. You can have AI run assignments in code for you and all of that. So everyone must not be in tech because we have different passions, different interests, different callings in life, but you should be able to do your work tech-enabled.
Thank you very much for that insightful answer. So I'd like to hear from you.
All right, thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. And I should say thank you for the opportunity to be here. The question is tech the new oil, and must everybody be in tech? The first question, I will paint a scenario, and I will allow you guys to answer the question yourself. Okay. Now, when they say oil, I mean, everything revolved around oil years back. What it meant was that everything people do, right, revolved around oil. You need oil, right, to run your business. Okay, cars run on oil. Okay, industries, were built around oil. If you want to go into a country, the question the business would ask, is how much does oil cost in that country? Do you understand what I'm saying? So, and we are in the third industrial revolution. A lot of other countries are currently in the fourth industrial revolution. And the fourth industrial revolution is driven by technology, okay? Which means everything you are going to do, everything you will be seeing around you will be driven by technology, right? Do you get my analogy right now? Cars now, are now controlled by technology, right? The work you do, I mean, a lot of them are automated. You have a computer in front of you. You send your email via computer. I'm using the computer. You have the cloud platform and all of those. Everything revolving around tech, okay? And more still to come. So the question is tech the new oil? So answer yourself, okay, with the analogy I just gave you, okay? And then the next question is, must everybody be in tech? See, Samuel rightfully answered the question. A lot of opportunities are available in tech today. Okay, must everybody be there? No. But should you have skill sets that are tech-enabled, tech-driven? The answer is yes, because if you want to remain relevant in that company where you work, okay, or you want to remain relevant in this age where we are in, you must be able to you must be tech inclined, right? So must everybody be in tech industry? No. Must everybody understand and be able to use tech devices or be tech, skilled? The answer is yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that insightful response. So I'll move on to the next question, and it's directed to both of you because you're a technical recruiter and HR professional. What advice do you have for tech job seekers to make their profiles and resumes stand out in the application process? What do you look out for? If I'm applying to Flutterwave today, what would make me stand out?
So let me be very real and practical, yeah. So a CV, I'm recruiting for a DevOps engineer, for instance, and a CV is in front of me. Okay, the minimum, I first of all go to the minimum requirements, the location. So if, for instance, I'm hiring for a role in North America, I check where you are in. If you are Sadiq Lawal and you're in Lagos, Nigeria, and I'm expected to hire someone who is in the United States, for instance, your CV is complete. No matter how good you are, your CV is out of the way. And it's even possible that Sadiq Lawal is actually in the United States, but did not update his CV. But I wouldn't know. So that leaves you with a point to ensure that your CV is very updated. That's one. So I check the minimum requirements. Part of the minimum requirements for us, because of the industry that we play in, is that our hires must have minimum of bachelor's degree. So I look out for that as well. Because no matter how good you are, if you don't have those minimum requirements, we will not be moving forward with you. And then I look at, next is your work experience, very, very important. I want to see, because it's an engineer role, I want to see the stack you're using or probably you've used. I want to see the languages that you've used or that you're using. I also want to see the kind of experience that you have. There are some experiences that give you an added advantage, especially if, for instance, if you have a payments experience. So my company we operate in the payment space, right? So if you have a payments experience, fantastic. So those are the kind of things that I look out for. Funny enough, should I say this? Should I not say this? Okay, let me say
Please
it,
say
but then I will now put a caveat. To be honest with you, I don't check if you wrote your CV well, if you use, if your CV is scattered, no, because I'm always looking for tech guys. So I don't have that luxury to say, is this person's CV well arranged? I don't have that luxury. But the caveat is that please let your CV be well arranged, because there are some people that don't have that patience. That just, which type of CV is this? But because I'm always looking for tech strong guys, I don't have that luxury to start playing around with CV. So so I think those things are the key things I look out for. The basic requirements, which I've mentioned, given a few examples, and then number two, your experience and your skill set, basically, if it meets with the job description. So let me just add a bit to that. So it's always advisable that when you see a JD, when you see a job advertisement, let me not use a JD. When you see a job advertisement, we're looking for a DevOps engineer, we're looking for a front-end person. The person must be able to do X, Y, Z. The person must be able to do ABC. If you actually have done those things in your previous work experiences, or you will currently do them in your current work experiences, and they are not in your CV, please lift it and put it in your CV. Because I don't know you, I can't just assume that you've done it if I don't see it in your CV. Right. So your CV is the first thing most times that speak for you even before you have the opportunity to speak for yourself.
Right. Thank you very much. So please update your CV. As you are going home, that's your to-do list. Sir.
Absolutely. Thank you, Samuel. And adding to that, see, your CV is the first thing I see, right? So it is your marketing, your first marketing strategy, right? And the question is, because your CV represents you, you should ask yourself, does this CV represent the skill set, right, and the experience that I have well enough? Okay, now you should ask yourself each time you are pressing the send button. Okay, if it does not, take a step back, review the CV before you send out. Okay, number two, no matter how well you make that CV look, be sure you are not over, selling yourself. I think YF talked about that. Okay, just put there what you know you can do. Because the next thing a recruiter would do is to pick up the phone and confirm that you have those skills. And a recruiter is not going to ask you what is or do you have this experience, he or she will paint scenarios to you to give you the opportunity to talk about or to showcase those skills. Now imagine if you do not have the skills. So please just put there the skill set that you have, or that, and the experience, of course, that you have, and put them on those CV. Let that CV market you well enough to catch Samuel's attention. Right? Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we have a question from the audience again that says, so this question is directed to Korede. Being an aspiring product manager as a chemistry graduate, how do I start?
Awesome. I didn't study product management in school. And there's...
I think this person is trying to be a PM.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to tell you too that we are all in the same shoes, because I didn't do product management in school. And I don't think there's any school that currently does it in the country, except in math for MSCs, right? So product management pretty much comes with, I would say, some natural acumen. A number of us started product management without knowing we were product managing things. To be very honest, we just stepped into the role, and then maybe someone then called your attention to, oh, you can transform this to be a skill. Like there's actually a job that pays you for doing what you're doing here easily. You understand? And then that's when we made the career-based transition. But then I would say that even if you don't have the natural acumen, there are ways to go about engaging and learning product management. The first I would tell you is get a course. And where to get courses from. You have Coursera, you have Udemy. There's this Google course on Coursera, I think it's called the Google Project Management course. It's very critical because most of the most important things that you end up... Okay, this is better, thanks. Most of the most important things that you need to learn as a product manager about how to manage projects, if you're doing agile, the different project management process, and that's even a discussion for another day, because product management in itself, it's pretty much an evolution of project management. So get a skill first, get that course. Google Project Management course, you can actually apply for the financial aid, so it comes for free. Although there are some other platforms that you might need to make payments to get a course from them. We have Treford, we have Product Dive. These are quite very popular, and they are local platforms. So you pay in Naira, and some of them can even give you courses that are quite cheap. I'll tell you another thing that's quite very important for product management is getting hands-on experience. And sometimes how you get hands-on experience, if you go for these courses, there are a lot of times where they give you capstone projects. They give you a project that you have to do over a period of time, and once you do those projects, you come up to speed, you understand the language, you understand the practice, you understand the acts. If you don't have the opportunity to get into any of these courses to give you a capstone project, I would encourage you to just reach out to anyone building something and then volunteer, right? Volunteer. So volunteer, when you volunteer, you gain a lot of experience that would actually push you. There's one thing I would say to pretty much wrap it up. Product management is not an entry-level role. You can actually ask them. They recruit a lot of product managers, like myself. It's not an entry-level role, in the sense that they expect that you have some level of tech knowledge base before you can engage product management effectively. And I mentor a lot of young product managers. One of the very big challenges is that there are not a lot of product management intern roles available. Out of 1,000, you may just find 10 to 50. And I'm being very honest. Some people would rather prefer you to have software development experience before you move over, or to have product operation experience, and so on and so forth. So another advice would be start somewhere where you have easy entry. Some people will say you can start with customer success. You understand what a tech product would look like, play around with tech products, understand that, and then you can easily migrate, because it's easier for you to migrate from a role than for you to start off with a role. For myself, I started as a software developer. But the point is, at that time, we didn't have a product manager. So I was leading the team. So I do all the organization. I put people together. I break down tasks. I had to learn Agile and learn a lot of things to teach my fellow engineers when we were working. And that's where I got majority of the skills that I had. So I would also encourage you, there's the let's say, the causeway that can be very hard and tough. But there is another way where you start from somewhere and then you migrate. The last bit is join communities. Like, and I would encourage you, there are a couple of communities I belong to, and I'll just pretty much say their name. People in Products. So People in Products is a very nice entry-level community to join. They'll take you through the journey, and they'll also give you those very few entry-level opportunity there on those communities, because it's product managers that actually would want to hire interns to shadow them for a period of time. So join communities, People in Product, and I think Product Dive also has a community. I hope that's helpful to the person.
Thank you so much, Korede, and that was very helpful. I think the person can connect afterwards to just get access to these links. And so we have another question here that says, how does someone who has been in HR for years transition into technical recruitment? Are there courses that can help considering the core competence in recruitment or talent acquisition? Mr. Emmanuel.
Okay, so the first thing I'd like to say, and I think I heard it said a couple times already today, is that no experience is a waste. And I'm not just saying it because it's a cliche. No experience is actually a waste. So at some point, before I became a technical recruiter, at some point, I was doing a consulting gig for a company. So I just remembered something now. So I was doing a consulting gig for a company. It was a tech company. In fact, I was doing it for 2 different tech companies concurrently. Right, so I think that was what really brought me into the world of tech and intrigued me about the world of tech. That, wow, first I saw how cool, free the people were. I'll go to the offices then, because we used to go to the office. And if I mentioned the name of these companies, at least 60% or 70% of us would know them. So we used to go to their company then for consulting, business process consulting, me and my boss. So good day, I'll see them with their laptops, their Macs, working, chill. Now I carry my big Dell laptop. I'll carry my big Dell laptop. You know those Dell laptops are very big and heavy. I'll carry it. Man, these guys are cool. I'll just be looking at them doing their coding, saying their terms, their jargons, front end. We are doing sprints, we are running sprints. This sprint is for 2 weeks. We are using the Kanban board to monitor where we are. I was just like, what are these people saying? I'm just intrigued that, although I know that I can't code and everything, and probably I should just drop a quick point there that you don't necessarily have to code to be in tech, right? There are tons of tech career paths that do not involve coding. So back to my story. So it intrigued me. I was like, and I saw that what they were doing had real-time impact. People were using their products real-time and saying, I love your products. Those kind of things were exciting to me. So what I began to do, and you can take a cue from this, is I began to get accustomed to the languages, to their jargons. I began to check what those things meant. And I must tell you that sometimes that I would have to learn those things like 4 times before I now understand like 20% of what it means. What is a stack? Or what's a programming language, for instance? I'll read today what programming language is. I will not understand. Probably 2 weeks again, maybe I counter it. I'll go back. What's this programming? What does it mean? Front end, what programming language did they use? I'll check. Probably 2 weeks later, I'll forget. But I kept on reading and learning about these things to at least understand. I wasn't going to code. I most likely would never code in my entire life. But I wanted to understand what those things meant. And I was doing that. I was learning that. Brings me back to my point that although I was not in the tech space, I was in consulting. but I was consulting for a tech company, and I took that experience very, very important. That might not be your context, but I can bet it with you that you would have at least one thing that your context is currently providing to you that will be useful to you when you eventually become a technical recruiter, because you actually become it if you want to. So that is number one. Then number two, what I now did is I went online to look at the JD, or the job adverts. Let me be more relatable. Job advert for a technical recruiter. What are the requirements? Or if you want to be a technical recruiter, what are those things that you must have? What are those things that you must know or must be able to do? And I saw that underlying these things, number one is you must first even understand what recruiting is. You must understand what the basic recruitment is, right? Because I was in a session, I think last week. Oh yes, last week. I was invited to speak to a couple recruiters or HR professionals on how to transition into HR tech. And I told them strongly that one of the things that you must be able to understand first is basic HR. Because whether it's HR tech or HR oil and gas or HR finance or HR banking, the underlying thing is that you must understand the basic HR process. So you must understand what recruitment actually involves. That's number two. And then number three is that you must then, of course, begin to position yourself. And what do I mean by positioning yourself? In terms of your CV, those little opportunities that you've had to work, to do anything that has to do with tech. So for instance, when I was applying into where I currently work, in my CV I put it there, consulted for companies in fintech, in health tech, because I actually did. So I put it there, see it. Although I'm not in tech currently, but I have experience working in tech and all that. So those little things, no matter how small they may look, put them in your CV. That's number one. Under positioning two, begin to list out tech companies. This is what I did. List out tech companies that you would like to work for. Begin to stalk them. Guys, you know I used to stalk all those girls that you like. Any guy that likes any girl here and you are stalking them, anyone? This brother, you are very honest. Don't mind other ones. It's because they're in church. That's how they're trying to. But you know those girls that you like, you go their Instagram. Some of you have still checked a girl's Instagram before you came to this place this morning. Their Instagram, you check it and all of that. The same thing you do for those tech companies. Go to their career pages. Okay, let me not say this. But go to their career pages. Pin it to your Google Chrome tab. Pin that tab to your Google Chrome browser. Or probably the Safari that you use. Pin the tab so that every morning, even if you don't want to open it, at least you see it and you just open. Do they have a new technical recruitment role that I can apply for? Because the more, or as much as you're hungry or desirous of transitioning into technical recruitment, just know that you are not the only one. There are other people. So most times it is what? Fastest fingers what? First. So you have to monitor those companies. I've talked about yourself, your CV, your experiences, your LinkedIn, of course. You have to project yourself in a way that those little experiences that you have in tech, project it out. And then I also talked about monitoring these companies as well. So I've talked about three things generally. Number one, no experience is a waste. Number two, understand what basic recruitment is. And then number three, position yourself to be able to maximize the opportunity when it eventually comes. I didn't use if, when, because eventually the opportunity will actually eventually come.
Thank you very much. That was super insightful. And please give him a round of applause, guys. Okay, so we have a question here that says, I am an ICT instructor in a school. How can I transition into tech? I have learned some skills in tech, but not getting job with tech firms, and eventually forgetting the skills. What can I do? Would you like to answer that?
Okay, thank you. How do I transition into having an IT job? I mean, from being an IT instructor,
Yes, instructor.
right? Maybe in a school or... Now, one thing is very important to understand, right? That when you instruct people or when you teach something, it means you understand the fundamentals of the skills required to do the job, right? So when you are applying to roles, now I'm going to be very practical because I hire, or let me say, I lead people who hire this, for these guys, right? So I'll be very practical with you. And because I hire a lot of these guys a lot, I will tell you what they do right and what they do wrong so that you know how to position yourself. So let's be very practical, no theory. Now, that means you understand the fundamentals, okay, of the skills. So when you're applying, okay, highlight the skills. I mean, the technologies that you understand. For instance, you train people how to use Outlook, for instance. That means, to a reasonable extent, you understand EXO online, okay? You train people how to use maybe the Azure platform, okay? That means you understand cloud technology, okay? Whatever it is, the skill set that you train, you know it, you understand it, and I would assume that you have that skill set. Highlight those skill sets on your CV, okay? And submit to the companies you like to work with. Now, when they call you to speak to you about this skill set, come on, don't fall your own hand. Speak to them because you know them. Okay, it is really simple. Now, most of the time, we self-reject. And the way we write our CVs, it looks like this is not what we are doing. You are training people or teaching people how to use a technology. It means you know the technology very well. I mean, before you can train, okay, don't let me say before you can train, it means you know. The expectation is that before you can teach people something, you have mastered that thing. Yes or yes? So when you put it on your CV, come across as somebody who understands that technology. Then when the recruiter puts a call across to you, speak as a wise one in that field. Do you get what I'm saying? So you particularly do not need to have hands-on experience doing that particular job. But, I mean, I don't know about a lot of tech companies, but for us, okay, at my organization, we are particular about the skill set that you have. Okay, you're third class, who cares? Do you have the skill set? Okay, you're 30 years old, who cares? Do you have the skill set? Okay, and most of IT companies, okay, they really don't care about your age. They really, am I speaking for you? They really don't care about your age. What they care about are the skill set that you have. Okay, so do you have the skill set? So put them on your CV. Don't forget, the first question is, how do I make my CV, look good for a recruiter? So make sure all those skill sets are there. And when they call you, be confident. That's another issue we have with people. You have the skill set. You have put it on your CV. They put a call across to you. You cannot articulate the things that you know. I'm sitting on the other end of the line as a recruiter. I don't know you before today. What I've seen on your CV and what you're telling me are the only things I know about you. Nobody has spoken for you. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So speak to it as the one who understands these things, who knows it. Okay? Speak to the skills. Oh, I train people this. I know X, Y, Z. This is how to do X, Y, Z. Okay? Speak to it. And of course, a recruiter that understands what he or she is doing knows to move you to the next stage. And when you get to the next stage of assessment or interview, whatever it is, prepare yourself, and this is how you get the job. It's really simple. Okay? 1, let your CV show. Don't say, instructor, I train people. No. What skills are you impacting to people? Right? Not I teach computer. No. You're teaching a particular skills. Put those skills there. All right? And then when they call you, speak to those skills as someone who understands and who is a master of those skills. And then when you have an opportunity to assess, okay, for you to be assessed, maybe a particular assessment, test, okay, prepare and pass it. These are just simple ways, practical ways of how to get the job. Transition from being an instructor to being a tech guy doing this tech job.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Corridor would like to.
Yeah, so I would like to add something shortly to that. I think first off is understanding that the tech industry as a whole, they're not all the same. They are different. They are stractals, right? They are stractals, different levels to the industry. And is to know clearly how to get in. To be very honest, I know many of us are, so how many of us are actively in tech? Let me even ask. Or you want to get into tech, you've done things in that direction. Wave your hand if you're confident. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. You know it's hard, right? Very hard. Because I know some people that will keep being on that track for a year, 2 years. They are writing codes. They're still doing their bank job. They want to transition. And they are still pushing. But I think one of those reasons, just to add to what he said, that denies us the access to getting is we don't even know the doors. So first, to note that there are very big tech companies, they are IT companies. The manner and structure they are designed are a lot more, I'll say, traditional. Because what their expertise are is they are in OEM-based technologies, right? So that's one sector. They most likely call them IT companies. That's a sector. It's very, very big. For that space, you can't just step into that space by being an hobbyist or having skill. You have to have certification. For instance, the CCNA, for those that are interested in networking, some Microsoft technologies, Tech Expert are one of the best Microsoft experts on the continent. Yeah, because I've had good experiences with them in time past. So Microsoft technologies, you don't just get into those jobs. IBM Tech, you need to get a certification. And some of the certification will cost you some money. They will cost you 100K, 200K. They're mostly charged in dollars. If you can show certification alongside with your very good CV, that, as he has said, you would get employed in that space. There's another sector. There are big tech companies, the like of the Paystack to Flutterwave, etc. Those ones are not, they have graduate programs, right? But they are not your graduate jobs, to be very honest. My opinion, I don't think Flutterwave is the first company you want to work with in tech. Because, yeah, you said? You want to work, yeah, but you have had the experience now. No. So it's not the first company you want to work with in tech. So aside from these big companies, there are another level of companies that are newly funded. Companies that are newly funded based on how big they've raised. There are some that want to hire people that can work for free. You understand? That is one of the doors you have. Jump in there. To be honest, sometimes they will not even ask for your CV. And most of those jobs are gotten based on networking, not on submitting CV. You know somebody that is an hobbyist, that is good, that works hard. And now the question is, where do you get the network? We'll come to that later. So most of those jobs are gotten by networking. Those companies might not necessarily hire interns that they will pay, but they would get you to work. You will do hard work that you don't necessarily have the skill for, because they will tell you to learn on the job, and they will not pay you so much. That might actually be your door. The lowest level is the hobbyist level. Some people are working on a project. We are talking about AI and all these things. There are a number of people that are working on AI-based projects that all you need to do is to be amongst them. Where do you find them? They're in communities. Very popular communities. I know I've been mentioning names. Please, I'm not just mentioning them for mentioning sake. Go and Google them. There's a community called GDG. For ladies, there's She Codes Africa. SCA. Go to these communities. Those communities will do two things to you. They will train you, and they will plug you into internship roles. Some of them will even give you projects to work on. Those projects are those things that will sharpen your skill. So please, there are roles. The Bible says, the way of a fool will reason because he doesn't what? He doesn't know his way to the city. There is a way, so know the way. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. And because of time, our time is fast spent. We have 3 questions. But I don't know if the audience would indulge us to take this question. Is it fine by you that we take extra time to take this question? We respect your time. So is it fine? Give me a wave if it's fine by you. No, it's low. So that means we should close. Can I get a wave in there? Can I get a wave in the air? Okay, so please, we'll take the other question, and we would not be taking any further question. What tech skills do you advise aspiring tech guys to acquire that are most relevant to their present economy? Corday.
Tech skills to acquire. I think he said something about that there are several parts in tech. There are coding parts, there are non-coding parts. The first thing, I think one of the speakers said something, that's Mrs. Taiwo, said something about understanding yourself. First, understand yourself, because all the jobs are not your job, to be very honest. So understand yourself. Coding needs a lot of mathematics in itself. You have to be able to understand key logic. There are some of us that might be lazy with that, but you can do some other things a lot better. You're better with colors. Do you understand? So first, understand yourself, and then use what you've understand about yourself to check the job description required for the different skills. I wish there was a platform that tells you the personality type. There are no platforms because, tech, the recruiters, they will tell you that they want everybody to get in because there are roles to be filled, to be very honest. So I wish there's a platform that can tell you, but there are some people that work better with color. So next thing I'll say is understand the different parts that they are to take. I'll mention them. There's the design parts. There are two parts of design. You're either doing brand or you're doing product design. You understand? Another part to design is research, UX researching. There is products. There are multiple parts in products. There's the analytics part, there's the management part, there's the operations part of products. There is engineering, and there are very plenty parts to engineering. For those that are very good with technical, abstract stuff, there's back end, there is front end. Front end, you have to have some design instincts. You know colors, you know space, you know shapes. You're a mental architect. You can arrange a room. You get, that will help you as a front-end engineer. And there's DevOps. DevOps, you can manage things. You are these techie guys. If you are really good with your laptops. So, and that also speaks to transferable skills. So there's DevOps. There are other parts in technology like customer support. There's HR and tech recruiting. And in multiple of other parts like that. I won't take the time to mention all that. So first, understand yourself, understand your experiences, understand the things you're naturally prepped for, and then understand where your passion is, what gives you some level of excitement, and that informs the path to take. Then it's the path that you will take that will inform the skill you need to acquire. For me, I've said a lot about communities. If you understand the path you want to take, look for a community that does that thing and join the community. Or speak to professionals in that space. They will shed more light and insight. The reason why is that a lot of this tech space, there are no hard and fast rules and list of certificates that sometimes you have to have in some of these tech spaces. So you may need to speak to people. If you need to get a certificate, they will tell you. If you don't need to, they will point you in the direction of the skill to learn. And then you pick the skill. Yeah, so. Yeah,
Thank you so much. And we've come to the end of the tech panel session. Has it been insightful so far? Has it been insightful so far?
Sorry to interrupt you. Can I just say about 3 things in about 30 seconds? I crave your indulgence. The first is, I just feel, while I was seated, that probably a point came to it. That was why that thought came to my head. If you're any lady here, and you have the desire to go into tech, please, by all means, go into tech. Right? Currently, the ratio of ladies to guys is very low. As at the last report I saw from Deloitte, I think 2022 was 33% of ladies to about 66% of guys. That's quite low, right? Compared to about 48% of ladies in the workforce and 52% of guys in the workforce, right? So that's number one. You might need to network with people, of course, to do that, and of course do some extra things, but please don't self-reject as a lady. That's number one. Number two is, we've learned a whole lot this afternoon, in fact, since morning. Please and please ensure that you do, right? It's useless to come and spend hours without doing what you learned. So identify key points that you want to actually implement from what you've been learning since morning, and please do them. And then number 3 is patience. All these things that we are saying, that our English is sounding sweet, you do this and do that, some of them take months. Sometimes they take years, and I've experienced, I don't know for them, their journeys might have been smooth, that they just apply to one company and then they call them. Maybe that's what happened to both of them. But for me, I've had to apply and apply and apply. Some you will not even get feedback or anything like that, and some you do first interview, second interview, and you get rejected. So please be patient. Don't be too hard on yourself. And I'm sure that God will crown your effort with success. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much. So I just want to iterate that if you have questions, you can ask them at the end of the session. But now we have to leave the stage because our time is fast spent. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you so much, Korede. Thank you so, so much.